Hello, I'm Denise Presnell. I'm one of the school social workers for Watauga County Schools. And today I'm with...
And my name is Candace Walker. I'm a school counselor and I serve as the prevention counselor for Watauga County Schools.
We're going to be talking to you today about brains and emotions and being ready to learn. You may have been in a classroom last year that had a Calm Corner, and your teacher this year has a Calm Corner. So if you had one last year, this is going to be a review for you. Or if this is brand new to you, then we're going to be going over what that's used for and how you use it. So I'm going to let Ms. Walker talk to you a few minutes about your brain.
Yeah, so before we can use those tools in the Calm Corner, it's important to know how our brains work so that we're able to use what we can to help our brains be able to learn the best that they can and so that we're ready to learn. So first, we're going to learn a little bit about our brains. Now, we can't take our brains out and look at them, but we do have a model of a brain that we can use, and it's right here on the end of our arms. This is a hand model of a brain. Here's how it works. The thumb folds in and our fingers fold down over our thumb. Ta-da! This is a model of our brain. I'll show you the parts quickly and then I'll go back through and tell you just a little bit more about each. Right here at the bottom of our hand, that represents the part of our brain that's at the back where it connects to the rest of our body. And that part of our brain is our survival brain. The fingers represent the part of our brain right here in the very front at our forehead, and that's our thinking part of our brain. And if we could open up and look deep inside the very core of our brain, which of course we can't do, but we can open up our fingers and look inside, this interior part of our brain is where our emotions come from. So each of these different parts plays an important role in how our brains help us to be ready to learn. So sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes this happens to me. I have some really big emotions that happen that seem to fill up my whole body. And that part comes from this limbic system of our brain. And the thumb represents something called the amygdala. That's a really fun word to say. I'll say it again, amygdala. And these emotions that come from this part of our brain can be so big that it's like they fill up our whole body. And those emotions could be something like maybe we're so angry, or we're so sad, or we're so scared about something, that the emotions just get so big that it causes the thinking part of our brain not to be able to do its job. And it's like those emotions go, and our brains, we flip our lid, we lose our cool, we're not able to think straight. And this part of our brain isn't able to do its job. Well, this thinking part of our brain we use for lots of things. We use it for making decisions, we use it for learning things like colors and shapes and numbers and multiplication tables and cursive and all sorts of things our whole lives. And we won't be able to use that part of our brain. So when those emotions are so big and it causes us to flip our lid, we need some tools and strategies to be able to get our thinking brain back on track so that we can be able to learn the way we want to, make decisions and be in control. So we're going to talk about things that we do. Some people, to calm down their brains, use deep breaths, and they'll breathe in. They'll do a deep breath. Some people will read or play video games. Some people will play music or listen to music or color or play basketball or go for a run. All sorts of different tools and strategies that people use to help their brains calm down. So I bet you've got some that you can think of that you do whenever you want to calm down your brain. Now this part of our brain that's right here at the back where our brain connects to the rest of our body through our spinal cord and uses our nervous system to go send messages through our whole body. This survival part of our brain does some pretty amazing things. It keeps us doing the things that we need to do to live. It monitors our heart rate and blinking and swallowing and our digestion, and it also keeps us safe. It keeps us alive whenever we might be in danger. So for instance, imagine that we're outside walking through the woods and all of a sudden there's a big animal that we see over in the woods. Well, we want our brain to very quickly so that our brain does what it needs to do to keep our bodies safe. That comes from this part of our brain, right here, the survival part of our brain. And that survival part of our brain does something that lots of people call fight, flight, or freeze. So whenever we think we're in danger, or we're actually in danger, it sends hormones like adrenaline through our body, through our nervous system, all the way through to all the parts of our body to get us ready to either fight or to run away or to hide. Now, if we're out in the woods and there's a big scary animal coming towards us, that's a good thing. We want to be able to do that. But if we're in a classroom or at the doctor's office or trying to get along with our brother or sister, maybe we don't need to be ready to fight or to run away or to freeze and hide. And maybe we need other skills. So some of the other skills we're going to talk about, we'll talk about during the next segment. Miss Presnell is going to come in just a minute and tell us a little bit about the 5-point scale. So let's learn about that. Miss Presnell, you want to come tell us about this?
I do. So, this is something that we like a lot that helps us all, kids and grown-ups, be able to explain our emotions. Because one thing that I've noticed, and maybe you've noticed this too, is that when kids are having really big emotions and having a really hard time being able to think and talk, adults ask them a whole lot of questions. What happened? What'd you do? What was your fault? How are you going to fix it? And sometimes we can't think or talk. So if you have a number system to be able to tell an adult how you're feeling, then they might know better how to help you, whether you're okay or need to use a seat skill or go to the calm corner and need them to help you. So we're going to go over these together. So a number 1 is everything's great. I'm doing good. I'm ready to learn. My brain's ready to learn. Number 2 is it's not the best. Something may have happened on the way to school or as you were leaving the house this morning, and it's not the best day, but you're still okay and your brain's still ready to learn. A number 3 means I'm having a big emotion. I need to do something to help myself with that because I'm starting to flip my lid. And so that's a seat skill, and Miss Walker's going to talk to you some more about those. A 4 is my big emotion is starting to take over. My brain's starting to go offline. I can't think or learn right now. And so that's when you go to the calm corner. We're going to talk some more about that in a few minutes. Then a 5, that's as big as our emotion can get. It's taken over our whole body. Sometimes we call that going offline. And so that's usually when you need to ask an adult for help because maybe it's too much for you to handle. And so whether it's your teacher or another adult that you're with, if you're at a 5, then you need to get some help. And that's okay. All of us need help with big emotions sometimes. So now you know, if you're starting to have a big emotion, you can say to yourself, what's my number right now? And you know if maybe you're a 2, you can stay at your desk and keep on working because your brain's working okay. Or one of these other things you may need to do something different. So Miss Walker's going to come talk to you about seat skills and some things that you can do when you're at a 3 and starting to have that big emotion.
Thank you. So whenever our brains go offline and we flip our lid, whether it's because our bodies are filled with big emotions like sadness or like excitement, or because maybe we're feeling like we're in danger, maybe we've been called on to answer a question that we don't know the answer to, or maybe another student has said something or done something that made us feel like we were not safe. Whatever the reason, when we flip our lid, that sends all of these sensations through our nervous system to our whole body. And it can cause us to experience things like our hearts beat really fast, or our bodies shake, or our breathing gets really shallow or fast, or we feel chill bumps all over our bodies, or maybe our fists clench up, or our jaws and teeth get really tight, or maybe we even feel like we have to go to the bathroom. All of these things are those sensations that come from our nervous system, from this part of our brain that makes our brains not be ready to learn. So some things that we can do, the easiest thing that we can do is to take deep breaths. And a deep breath doesn't mean like that. but it means a slow breath. It causes our bellies to expand. So we can breathe in through our noses. Do this with me. And out through the mouth. And that automatically helps our brains to calm down. We can also do things with our bodies to get rid of some of that nervous energy. One of the things that we can do is to squeeze our muscles by imagining we're holding a lemon in our hands. We can squeeze really tight and feel it squeeze all the way up to our shoulders, and then take that deep breath, let it go. Some people do that by imagining they're turning the handles on the sink, and they squeeze as they turn, and then imagine the water draining out. We can push or pull on something that's safe. We can push down on a desk or push on a wall. We can pull against our hands, or if we're sitting in a seat, we can pull up against our seat under our bodies. And that releases some of that nervous energy and gives it a place to go. We can stretch our muscles by just stretching out our arms and legs, stretching up high, stretching down to our toes. Those are all great things that we can do that we call seat skills. And really, they're anywhere skills. They're skills that we can do in the car or at the doctor's office or at church or at somebody's house or in our bedroom, whenever we're trying to go to sleep at night. These skills we can use in classrooms and anywhere else to help us to be ready to be in control and to be ready to learn. So these seat skills are great. There's lots of other seat skills too that you may have learned along the way. But we love that we can use them anywhere. And in our classrooms, many of our classrooms, we have our Calm Corner boxes. Ms. Pretzel's going to come show us some of those tools.
And so, Ms. Walker was telling you about seat skills to use when you're at a 3. And sometimes your teacher may think the whole class is at a 3, and she may have everybody together do breathing or stretching. But if you start to get to a 4, or you're at a 4, and that's when you don't feel like you can sit in your seat and do your seat skills anymore, then you're going to go to the Calm Corner. All Calm Corner boxes are different, and so you may have this in your Calm Corner, or you may have something else, and that's okay. So one of the very first things that you do is you have a 5-minute timer. And that's because we know that that's about how long it takes a big emotion to calm down so your brain's ready to learn. So the first thing that you do when you get to the Calm Corner is you turn over your timer. And then you pick what you're going to do. So one of the things, this is called a liquid motion toy. And so it's really cool, but it actually helps your brain to settle down your big emotions when you watch those dots going through the water. So that's one thing that you can do. Another thing you can do is coloring. And so that's another thing that when we're coloring, our brain helps us calm down our big emotions. And so remember, you have 5 minutes, so you might not get your picture finished. That's okay. And one of your friends may finish it another day. And that's okay, because we're all in this together. But coloring is something that helps calm down a big emotion. Another thing that helps calm down a big emotion, there's putty in each of these things. And Ms. Walker was talking about lemon squeezes, and that's something that you can actually put in your hand to squeeze to help your big emotion calm down so your brain's ready to learn. And then here's another thing. Ms. Walker was talking about working your muscles. And so one of these stretch bands really works the muscles in your arms and your chest and your back. And so that's something that you can do to stretch so that it's working your muscles and helps your brain get ready to learn. And then I got one more thing in here, and that's a stress ball. And so again, lemon squeezes sometimes work even better when you've got something in your hand, and we really like this one because it reminds us to be calm. And so you'll squeeze this and help your brain get your big emotions brain ready to learn. And so there's some expected behaviors about a Calm Corner. One of the main ones is that when you come, you turn over your 5-minute timer, and when your sand's all gone to the bottom or your timer's run out, then it's time to go back to your seat. And if you find out that your big emotions aren't calming down and you're still at a 4, or that you've gone up to a 5, then you may need to ask an adult for help. Another thing is that if one of your friends is already here, that you don't want to pace around or ask them why they're there or how much longer that they have. We want to be respectful and give people in the Calm Corner their privacy, because that helps them to be calm. And so they won't be here more than 5 minutes. And so you can wait your turn and they'll be out soon and then you can have a turn. Another thing is that we don't want the teacher to have to tell you to go. We think feelings are our own responsibility, and so that's one of the reasons why we're teaching you the 5-point scale. So you can look inside your body and decide what your big emotion is, and whether you can still do a seat skill, whether you need to go to the calm corner, or whether you need to get an adult to ask for help. So that's something that you can do on your own without having the teacher to tell you to go. Another thing is that you may sometimes see your teacher in the calm corner, another grown-up, because adults have big emotions too. So it could be that that morning they spilled their coffee, or that the dog ran away when they were trying to leave for work, and so they're having a big emotion and they need to sit in the calm corner for a few minutes to calm down, and that's okay. So you may see an adult in the calm corner as well. And so then when your 5-minute timer is up, then you go back to your seat, unless you haven't calmed your emotions down or they've gotten bigger, and then you'll need to ask an adult for help. One last thing about the calm corner is we only use the things for their purpose. So if you've got the stress ball and somebody says, hey, throw me that, that's not something that we do, because the stress ball is only used for squeezing. And so we only use the stress bands for stretching and not for shooting like a rubber band, those kinds of things. So be sure and use the items for their purpose so that we can keep them here and that they stay in good condition and don't get broken or lost. So those are the things that we use the calm corner for. Your teacher will tell you where the calm corner is, and she may have, like I said, things in there that we haven't gone over with you, but all of the things in the calm corner are to help your brains get ready to learn by calming down your big emotions. So,
Should we tell them about the evaluation?
we should tell them. I'll let you do that.
One thing that we'd like to do is to know whether or not these tools are helpful for students. So in most calm corners in our schools, there's a little form that when you're finished in the calm corner, you just fill this out, and then your teacher will take it and take a look at it. And you don't have to put your name on it, but you would circle or mark how you felt whenever you started, what you did while you were using the calm corner tools, and then how you felt whenever you were ready to go. And that just helps us to gather some information and know whether or not these tools are helpful for our students. So we really appreciate you doing that part. We hope that this has been helpful for you. It's been a good review, and we wish you well.
Hope you have a good day.